What's up, Taiwan? I'm Eric Gao, bringing you the news from here in Taipei. President Lai Ching-te says he is going to bring controversial legislative reforms passed by lawmakers to the Constitutional Court. Now, these reforms had been pushed by Taiwan's opposition-led legislature, and they've triggered widespread protests over fears that the country's democracy could be under threat. Louise Watt is following this story for us from Taipei. Louise, what has Lai said?
Eric, Lai has stressed today that he's not against reform of the legislature, but he says that these amendments, which expand lawmakers' powers, are unconstitutional. Now, he did sign the amendments into law, as he's required to do by the Constitution, but he also says he's going to ask the Constitutional Court to review them. Now, this comes after the legislature on Friday voted to go ahead with the amendments, despite the cabinet asking them to review them. This is what Lai said about the amendments.
立法院这次修法，除了在审议程序引起社会高度疑虑，相关规定更对宪法的权力分立和制衡原则造成危害风险。
Now, the new powers would include giving lawmakers the right to summon people, not just government officials, not just the president even, but anyone, to provide information that they request. And if they don't, or they fail to provide information satisfactory to the lawmakers, they could be fined or even face prison. Now, the opposition says that these changes are necessary to allow for better government oversight and to help combat corruption. But the ruling party, that's President Lai's party, says this is an overreach of power, and actually these reforms will help the legislature. It will basically give the legislature powers that are reserved for other branches of Taiwan's government. So Lai's party has been opposing these reforms, but they've been powerless to stop them because they don't have a majority in the legislature. And Lai says he's making this move today, taking it to the Constitutional Court, not because of politics, but because he views the amendments as unconstitutional.
Louise, how soon can we expect to see this case actually reach the Constitutional Court? And has there been any reaction from the opposition to Lai's announcement?
It could take some time to get a ruling from the Constitutional Court, and that's why President Lai today has also said he will be seeking a temporary injunction on the amendments. That means the reforms will be stayed until there's a ruling. Now, as for reaction, a legislator from the main opposition, KMT, Fu Kun-chi, he expressed anger at Lai's move, and he asked reporters, has Taiwan become an imperial system with an authoritarian government? And the other opposition party that's been driving through these reforms, the Taiwan People's Party, they've expressed regret today, and they say constitutional reform is needed, and it's what the public expect. Now, as I said, Lai said he doesn't oppose reforming the legislature. What he objects to is the expansion of power. And what's worried not just him and his party, but also tens of thousands of people who came out onto the streets to protest, is that these reforms were pushed through without the kind of debate, the time it takes to debate reforms before legislators normally pass laws.
Thank you for that update, Louise. It looks like this issue is going to keep churning for a while. That was Louise Watt, live for us in Taipei. New images have emerged of a Chinese warship near Taiwan's outlying Penghu Islands. The destroyer was seen in the area on the 20th and was photographed by local fishers. It's the second Chinese warship spotted around the islands in about a week. A Chinese ballistic missile submarine was photographed surfacing in that same area on June 18th. The Navy is offering cash rewards to fishers who report foreign warships with photos and identifying information. At least 17 people have been killed in shootings in the Russian region of Dagestan. The attacks targeted synagogues, churches, and police officers in two of the region's cities on the Orthodox feast of Pentecost. Officials say at least 15 police officers, a priest, and a security guard are among the dead, while 6 of the shooters have been killed. The attackers have not been identified, but the region in the North Caucasus has a history of Islamist violence. Saudi Arabia says at least 1,300 people have died of heat exposure during this year's Hajj. The country gives out permits for the annual Islamic pilgrimage by lottery, and officials say most of the dead were not authorized to take part. The deaths came as temperatures passed 50 degrees Celsius in the city of Mecca, where the Hajj takes place. Around 1.8 million people took part in this year's Hajj. That's an annual pilgrimage that Muslims with the means to do so are expected to make at least once in their lives. Officials say they removed hundreds of thousands of pilgrims without permits from Mecca before the event ended on June 18th. Electric vehicles have become increasingly popular here in Taiwan in recent years, but some new EV owners are encountering roadblocks when looking for affordable insurance. Wesley Lewis reports.
With their streamlined designs and self-driving technology, electric vehicles have become an increasingly common sight on Taiwan's roads. According to the Highway Bureau, in 2019 there were just under 3,400 newly licensed electric vehicles in the country. By 2023, that number jumped to nearly 25,000. That's a 730% increase in new registrations, and the numbers are only expected to grow. But new EV owners may have trouble with a key part of responsible car ownership: finding insurance plans.
后来我们发现有很多的保险公司开始不接电动车，或者是他们的条例变得很严苛。打个比方，它限制只有2人可以驾驶，而且这2人必须要有10名，或者是他们添加了很多的类种天灾险还有窃盗险，无缘无故多了1-2万块。
By July, electric vehicles will officially have their own insurance plans, separate from gas-powered vehicles. Insurance companies say EV plans will have higher rates due to potential battery malfunctions.
独立的所有电池充电期间的危险性，那这个本来就不是在车体险的范畴里面。会问你说，那在附约的部分是否要把电池还有充电期间的附约保险一起做一个规划？
EV car owners who choose to include the battery in their insurance plans can expect to pay 6 to 9% more than for gas-powered vehicles. Insurance brokers say the number of accidents and settlement claims for EVs have been high in recent years, which may lead to even higher rates for EV insurance. As more and more electric vehicles hit the streets, thanks in part to tech companies like NVIDIA and Tesla, new owners will likely have to pay a premium for full coverage. Eason Chen and Wesley Lewis for TaiwanPlus.
Health officials are sounding the alarm as more and more young children are catching COVID.
但是呢，还是有比较小的小孩子呢，有可能会有并发重症的可能性啊。那是因为可能他们体内并没有原先有抗体，甚至也没打过疫苗，所以他们的临床的表现会比较严重。
Health officials recorded over 600 COVID cases last week, with a spike in the number of children infected. Now they're warning that the wait time for hospital beds is also getting long, up to 3 days in some cases. Officials say the outbreak may peak in August or September. They're urging people to wear masks and to get the latest vaccines. Beetle Nut girls used to be a common sight along Taiwan's roads, but as demand for the stimulant that they sell declines, they are fast disappearing. Now, a shop in Taipei is taking a more modern approach to a traditional industry. Bryn Thomas reports.
If you drive across Taiwan, you will notice women doing business along the country's highways. In a cultural phenomenon unique to Taiwan, these women, known as Beetle Nut Beauties, wear revealing clothing to market beetle, an addictive cancer-causing stimulant harvested from palm trees.
槟榔西施这个工作可以让我穿得漂亮，然后很做自己。它是一个形容词的，对我来讲，槟榔西施就是漂亮，然后有内在，然后有品味。
Over the last 2 decades, growing awareness of the health risks of using beetle and government controls restricting how much skin Beetle Nut Beauties can show have seen their numbers drop sharply. Now, a shop and artist collective in Taipei called Baby Beetle Nut is bucking the trend by modernizing a very traditional industry.
新一辈年轻人会想要有跟一般传统店会不太一样，就是我们的想法会比较在新一点以外，会想要加入多的东西，创造新鲜的东西。
Baby Beetle Nut is taking the aesthetic of Beetle Nut Beauties, the revealing photos, the fishnet tights, and the neon, and creating their own brand of uniquely Taiwanese influencer.
就是这边等于有点像给女生想要打扮，可是会有点不好意思，或者是想要有自己的风格，可是不知道要怎么去展现自己。我觉得这边就很适合当一个舞台。
It's a model that's made them famous in Taipei's nightlife scene and beyond. The beauties at Baby Beetle Nut attend events in Shanghai and Tokyo and pop up in music videos for local artists.
一个嘻哈歌手，他叫做热狗 MC Hot Dog， 他就是在我们旧的店拍 MV， 然后就是大家知道了这间店，然后再加上这间店的槟榔西施可能就是跟一般既定印象中的不一样，就是稍微潮一点哦。
Their growing social media presence has seen Baby Beetle Nut's merchandise outsell their Beetle. They sell traditional items like calendars.
还有打火机跟年历，虽然现在已经5月了，这个是我。
And new items like T-shirts and zines.
我给你看一个，就是这个是我很喜欢。虽然我们是卖槟榔的，但是出了一个这个槟榔嘴提，还是要提醒大家。 槟榔要少吃一点，不然毕竟是一己致癌物。
And while they may be finding success online by working with local creatives, Baby Beetle Nut stays true to its roots, selling the same beetle, cigarettes, and drinks as kiosks around the country. But they're also finding new ways to keep a disappearing cultural phenomenon relevant and reduce the harm it causes, by brewing beetle into beers and incorporating them into cocktails. The trick to success? They say the core of the business remains the same.
你敢穿很露的话，基本上你就可以变成一个很好的槟榔西施。但是我觉得对于我而言，我觉得可能是要多一点人情味吧。我喜欢就是工人叔叔来买完槟榔，我会跟他们说工作辛苦了，或下雨我会跟他们说骑车小心。
While Beetle Nut shops may be disappearing from roadsides here in Taiwan, the women who had worked in them are still finding audiences online, proving that while people may be losing their taste for beetle, they haven't lost their taste for Beetle Nut Beauties. Ryan Wu, Sandy Chi, and Bryn Thomas for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's Zoo Percussion Group has performed at the Salle Gaveau Concert Hall in Paris, part of a series of arts and cultural events featuring Taiwanese artists. On the troupe's second stop of their world tour, they performed 6 pieces. The group's founder, Zhu Zongqing, says they are honored to perform ahead of the Olympics happening in the French capital this summer. Zhu says his troupe hopes to use their spirited music to show support for the country's athletes. The group has toured 35 countries since it was established in 1986. Time for Taiwan to bust a move as the country is sending its first breakdancer to the Olympics. Sun Zhen, who goes by the stage name Quake, he competed in the Olympic qualifiers in Budapest over the weekend, coming in 10th place. That ranking helped him secure his spot at the Summer Games in Paris this year. Breaking is a type of dance that emerged from the New York hip-hop scene in the 1980s. It's a new addition to the Olympics, and the debut competition will be on August 10th. Thanks for joining us here on What's Up Taiwan. Visit the TaiwanPlus website for more of our news reports and other programs. Finally, check out the World's Ugliest Dog Contest. These are faces only their owners could love. I'm Eric Gao. Take care. We'll see you next time.
For more stories from Taiwan and around the world, download the TaiwanPlus app.